unto Sihon and to Og, the kings of the Amorites, and unto their land, whom he destroyed. And Yahweh will deliver them up before you. And ye shall do unto them according to all the commandment which I have commanded you. Be strong and of good courage, fear not, and neither be affrighted at them. For Yahweh thy God, he is that doeth go with thee. He will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. And Moshe called unto Yehoshua, and said unto him in the sight of all Yisrael, Be strong and of good courage, for thou shalt go with this people into the land which Yahweh hath sworn unto their fathers to give them, and thou shalt cause them to inherit it. And Yahweh, he it is that doth go before thee. He will be with thee, he will not fail thee, neither forsake thee. Fear not, neither be dismayed.
Skip down to 14 and 14 to the end of 16.
And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Behold, thy days approach that thou must die. Call Yehoshua and present yourselves in the tent of meeting, that I may give him a charge. And Moshe and Yehoshua went and presented themselves in the tent of meeting. And Yahweh appeared in the tent in a pillar of a cloud, and the pillar of a cloud stood over the door of the tent.
Yeah, we can stop right there. So, again, Joshua just woke up in the morning, and he said, "Come with me. I got a job for you. Got something to talk about." And he just got promoted to lead the children of Israel to go over to the land. And he had to tell him again, don't be afraid, because I don't know if y'all remember, but Joshua was one of the 12 spies that went over into the land to see. So 40 years ago, he went through this process already. And he saw what happened when we didn't follow everything that the Most High God told us to do. And so Moshe had to encourage him. And then God said, okay, Moses, now it's time that you have to die. Bring Joshua in here so that I can speak to him now. Most times Joshua was going through Moses in order to get some type of communication with the Most High God. But now the Most High is going to deal with him directly. Sometimes I'll put myself as an example. I actually never really want to teach, ever. I don't like it because this spot is, you have to tell the truth. And sometimes people don't want to hear the truth. It's not nice. It's not something that's peaceful. But you get promoted to that job when you're seen as someone that has the potential to do the job. And so I wanna send this to some of our younger people that you're gonna be afraid to speak, but sometimes you have to speak even when you are afraid. Your voice is gonna shake. You're gonna be nervous. You're gonna sweat, but that's fine because you have a message to tell, or else you wouldn't be here. Joshua had a job to do, and he was the most qualified person to do it, and that's why the Most High said that's who it's going to be. All right, we can start now in the 33rd chapter. So after that, Joshua gets charged. Moshe, he goes and he tells the people, he sings this song in their ears to tell them, yeah, I'm about to die, and y'all are going to go against the word of the Most High God. I know this because I've been dealing with y'all. Y'all been stiff-necked with me ever since. I known y'all and your parents and your grandparents, and y'all that same generation that basically grew up. Everybody was 19 years old and younger, and now at this time, everybody's about the oldest person is probably like 59 years old. And so he's telling them this whole time, y'all have been rebellious, and when you go over this Jordan, you're going to rebel. But there's a way to get back. And so now he wanted to leave us off in the 33rd chapter with a blessing. It's the same way that Jacob left off for his children with a blessing. It's going to be kind of reminiscent of that. Some of these blessings that you're going to read, you're going to see that Moses tried to undo, for lack of a better word, some of the harsh things that Jacob put on his sons. You're going to see when he talks about Reuben, he tries to give them some encouragement because when Jacob blessed Reuben, it was more so like, yeah, you know good, so I really have nothing good to say about you, and I'm going to just skip over you. And sometimes this is like a warning to parents, teachers, older people. The voice that, the way that we speak to our children, to our young people, is the voice that they're going to carry on through the rest of their lives. So if we hear, I remember, I won't mention the person that said this. I was like 18 years old, 19 years old, and I said, you know, I want to go to med school. The person said to me, oh man, you must want to get married when you're 30. And actually, I had to have been younger than 18. I had to be like 15 or 16. And you know, I was so impressionable at that young age that I took that to heart. Looking back, yes, I want to wait to get married later on in life. That's probably the best thing that could have ever happened. But in my mind and in that person's mind, they wanted to rush me along. And that caused me to take a different course in life. But the Most High is good, and it worked out. But just that one saying stuck with me for the rest of my life. And what Jacob said to some of his sons, they took that on, and then, I don't know if you know this, but you can pass that down, that PTSD and that trauma from generation to generation. And so Moses, probably looking at the characteristics of the different tribes, looked at the Reubenites and said, you know, y'all are people too. Y'all are important. As a matter of fact, y'all need to come across that Jordan, come across the Jordan and fight with your brothers, because you are important and you're needed and you are a person too. So look at some of these blessings and try to personalize them, but also take from the lesson that we need to leave a positive legacy to our children and a positive legacy to each other. We need to speak life into each other, blessings into each other, because that's what the Most High God requires of us. All right. Deuteronomy 33rd chapter.
We're in a portion of Wezot HaBaraka, which is found in the book of Devarim, which is Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 1. Hallelujah.
Before you start, I have two trivia questions, and you can answer them later on. How many times were the children of Israel blessed by someone? That's the first question. And the second one is, which child or tribe got the blessing of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in your mind? Okay.
And this is the blessing wherewith Moshe, the man of God, blessed the children of Israel before his death. And he said, Jehovah came down from Sinai and rose from Seir unto them. He shined forth from Mount Paran, and he came from the myriads holy. At his right hand was a fiery law unto them. Yea, he loveth the peoples. All his holy ones, they are in his hand, and they sit down at thy feet, receiving of thy words. Moshe commanded us a law, an inheritance of the congregation of Yaakov. And there was a king in Yeshurun. When the heads of the people were gathered, all the tribes of Israel together.
Now, at this point, you're going to see that it's really, Moses has really kind of been done speaking up until it says Moses blessed the people. This is now the writers kind of summing up that this is the end of Moses' life. We see that Moshe was kind of like a king. And there was a reason that the Most High God said to him, you got to go and die, because you didn't separate yourself from me at the waters of Meribah. So if you go over this, he doesn't say this, but we're going to infer that if you go over this Jordan, the people are going to worship you. You got to remember, the youngest person, everybody that was 20 years old and upward had to die. So the oldest person, again, besides Moses, Joshua, and Caleb, is 59 years old. They looked up to Moses this whole time as in the stead of God. He's basically magic to them. Every time Moses said something was going to happen, it happened. He said, let the earth open up and do a new thing. They saw something new happen. He was magical in their mind. The second he coupled himself with God, that was his death sentence. You see there's a lot of metaphors in these first verses that I'm not really going to go into because it's too deep. But what the writer is trying to say, like, you've been blessed with a law that's second to none. If you do the simple things in this law, you're going to be more wise than anybody else that's out there. All the wisdom that you see in the Quran, all the wisdom that you see in the New Testament, all the wisdom that you see in Buddhism and Hinduism, everything, one way, shape, or form, comes back to a lot of the writings that we see right here. So if you really study this, like how we're supposed to, like the Most High told Joshua in the first chapter, to read therein day and night. Joshua, the first chapter, is one of my favorite portions, because like Chief of Chiefs said, if you read it and personalize it, you can read it as if God is talking to you today, because he is. He's telling you that the secret is read in this book of the law and apply it day and night, and everywhere that you go, you're going to have good success. Is there such thing as bad success? The Most High God is telling you, I'm going to bless you in your righteousness if you just do what I tell you to do. Don't deviate from the left or to the right. So Moshe is now trying to recollect after he just cursed us out in Hazinu. He just told us that y'all are no good people. But just like when you're giving feedback to somebody, he tried to leave it off on a good note. Let's see what he says about Reuben.
6. Let Reuben live and not die, in that his men become few.
That was it. That was one little, he can't really undo what Jacob said, because Jacob said you're no good and I have nothing good to say about you. So he just said, let Reuben live and not die. Let his men be multiplied. Take that in to say, you know, we may do things and we may feel that the Most High is going to get us back. But Yom Kippur just passed. So if you really took Yom Kippur for what it was, if you really took Yom Teruah for what it is, you're going to look at these blessings and say, I too can live. I too can be made not few, as the Most High God spoke about our father Reuben. Let's talk about Judah. I like this one.
And this for Yehuda, and he said, hear Yehovah, the voice of Yehuda, and bring him in unto his people. His hand shall contend for him, and thou shalt be a help against his adversaries.
When Jacob blessed Judah, he said he will be a prince among his brothers, and the scepter should never leave. Also, if you look at Judah's life, he left his father for a while. He was like, he became the big brother eventually. And then he looked at his brothers and said, I got to get away from y'all, because y'all are no good people. He thought he could do it on his own. The second he left, trouble. It's a good way to put it. He winds up going to do some things he shouldn't have done. And so now Moshe is telling him, come back to your people, because you can't do this alone. But you're going to have a pivotal voice in the nation, and we hope and pray that the Most High God will allow you to speak up and to fight when it comes time to fight. Let's talk about Levi.
8. And of Levi he said, thy Tumim and thy Urim be with thy Holy One, whom thou didst prove at Massah, with whom thou didst strive at the waters of Meribah, who said of his father and of his mother, I have not seen him, neither did he acknowledge his brethren, nor knew he his own children. For they have observed thy word and kept thy covenant. They shall teach Yaakov thine ordinances and Yisrael thy law. They shall put incense before thee, and whole burnt offering upon thy altar. Bless Yehovah his substance, and accept the work of his hands. Smite through the loins of them that rise up against him, and of them that hate him, that they rise up not again.
So, Levi, right? When you had the case of Baal Peor, when you had the case of, you had people going and doing their own thing, the tribe of Levi stood up, and when Moshe came and said, who are the Lord's, who's on the side of the Most High, let them stand up, and the whole tribe of Levi stood up. So they got the blessing of being the ones that's closest to the Most High God. That Urim and that Tumim that he's speaking about was when there was a problem that was too hard for Moshe to understand, or for the highest course to understand, the Most High gave them a way to be able to get an answer. He said, through this tribe will I get my blessings and through this tribe will I be glorified. they shall teach Yaakov thy ordinances. So if you call yourself a Levite, you got to know this book. You got to know this law. And really, again, he's blessing the tribes individually, but for those of us that are here, we take on these tribes, but we really don't know. So you got to read all of these things and try to take the positivities of them all and apply them to your life. You're going to be a teacher, you're going to be a fisher, or you're going to be a hunter, one way or another. So when you live this life, you're going to be a teacher because people want to watch. They're going to say, what happened to your fringes? Your whole life I've been... Don't look at me like that. Your whole life I've seen you wearing your fringes. And now today you don't have them. The other people that don't even keep this way, they gonna see you never eating pork, never eating out of this place, and the second you compromise, they're gonna say, wait, I thought you don't eat this, and you thought you don't do that. Really, that's the Most High God mercifully correcting you. And instead of you telling them, shut up, you're like, you're right, I'm slacking. The Most High God, He sends us these messages. We're reading this stuff and it seems like really old and antiquated. But if you take this book and that you apply it to your life daily, you're going to see yourself get blessed in ways that you can't even contain. Because the Word of God is true, right? All right. Oh, so I went off on a tangent for a second. Levi is the ones that they represent us before God. If they're the only ones that kind of are like a mediator between us and God, because that's their blessing, that's their portion. When we take care of them, they're able to focus on making sure that they give the right offerings, make sure that they make sure that they pray for the people and the people are cleansed. The community, if it's running right, if everyone is doing the law, it's a well-oiled machine. But it's only going to work that way if we all do our part. So if you come here, you're a drummer, that's your portion. If you can't drum, don't drum. But find your portion. If your portion is to pick up tables and put them back down, that's your portion, because everybody is important. I'll tell you one thing, if somebody doesn't do it, we all going to be looking at each other like, where's the people that's supposed to take up the tables? Where's the people that's supposed to put down the chairs? Because everybody has a job to do. And so individually we have to find our jobs. You may not be a teacher, but you may be good with sewing. You may be good with cooking. You may be good with cleaning. Somebody and everybody has a job, and you just need to find it. And don't let somebody tell you to do it. Again, off of my tangent. Verse 12. Let's see about Benjamin.
Of Benjamin he said, the beloved of Yahweh shall dwell in safety by him. He covereth him all the day, and he dwelleth between his shoulders.
I really don't know what any of that means. But I'll tell you that Benjamin was... Actually, go ahead. I'm going to let you finish the next portion with Yosef.
13. And of Yosef he said, blessed of Yahweh be his land, for the precious things of heaven for the dew, and for the deep that couches beneath, and for the precious things of the fruits of the sun, and for the precious things of the yield of the moons, and for the tops of the ancient mountains, and for the precious things of the everlasting hills, and for the precious things of the earth and the fullness thereof, and the good will of him that dwelleth in the bush. Let the blessing come upon the head of Yosef, upon the crown of the head of him that is prince among his brethren. His firstling bullock majesty is his. His horns are like the horns of a wild ox. With him he shall gore the peoples, all of them, even the ends of the earth. And they are the tens of thousands of Ephraim, and they are the thousands of Manasseh.
Take that in. Personally, this is the Most High God telling you, if you follow my law, everything that you want, you're going to get in righteousness. Because there's some things that we want that is just not good for us. We think that we want a whole bunch of money, and I guarantee you, you get $1 million tomorrow, just $1 million, you're going to disappear. You're going to tell people, lose my number. I don't know you. You're not my cousin. You're not my first cousin. I just came to the camp one day out of the week. I really don't know you. That's not a joke. I think we really need to learn who we are with. Take this blessing personally. The Most High God is telling you that if your portion here is to be a doctor, and that's what you really want to do, they're going to tell you to come in, hey, you have to work Friday night and Saturday on the Shabbat. If you rest and trust in the Most High God, He will give you provision and way that they'll say, you know what? Freedom of religion, right? You double up on Sunday. There's no excuse for us not to keep the Shabbat. There's no excuse for us not to keep any of these holy days. He's given us the provision, but we have to take the time and be strong and of good courage and stand for what we know is right. That's why when teachers come up here and they teach, and it might sound harsh, the truth has to be told. And we have to recognize when it's somebody's teaching their own thing or when they're teaching the law. And if they're teaching the law, internalize it, accept it, clean up, and then you'll get the blessings that the Most High God said, let the blessing come upon the head of Joseph. That might be a little hint to one of the questions that I said earlier. And upon the crown, the head of him that is prince among his brethren. His store is going to be blessed. You're never going to go without food. You're never going to go without shelter. And if you don't have, you have community to lean on. You have brothers and sisters that you may have fallen out with. But the law requires them to help you. Internalize it. Do the law. 18.
And of Zebulun he said, rejoice, Zebulun, in thy going out, and Yissaschar in thy tents. They shall call peoples unto the mountain. There they shall offer sacrifices of righteousness. For they shall suck the abundance of the seas and the hidden treasures of the sand. And of Gad he said, blessed be he that enlargeth Gad. He dwelleth as the lioness, and teareth the arm, yea, the crown of the head. And he chose the first part of himself, for there was a portion of a ruler, was reserved, and there came the heads of the people. He executed the righteousness of Yahweh, and his ordinances with Yisrael.
So he blessed Zebulun, and then Yissaschar, he said, yeah, you're going to dwell with Zebulun. Again, some of these blessings just sound like really, really minuscule, but when you look at the land, and it's going to show you exactly what we're promised, and it's bigger than what you see on the map today. We dwelt together in communities. We were communal people. We had dependencies upon one another. The people that dwelled by the shore, they were the fishermen. They were the tradesmen. But you had people that were goldsmiths. You had people that were seamstresses. People that were good with cloth. People that were good with the math and the sciences. People that were good with cooking. We need all of those things in our nation. And so we have to encourage our children and each other to go after those things that we have dreams for. Just because we're in the land of our captivity doesn't mean that we can't have good success. But we know how to get that good success, because the Most High God already told Joshua, be strong and courageous. Read in the book of the Lord day and night, and don't let it depart from you. Then I will give you good success. And everywhere that you go, no one should be able to stand before you. He's given us the answer to the open book question. The real is, do we really believe it? And if you don't, be real with yourself. Makes no sense. I said this last time. It makes zero sense to come in and week out, listen to these eloquent speakers. You get a nice lesson. You may learn something, but you don't know anything. I'm going to be nice. Time sheet.
22. And of Dan he said, Dan is a lion's whelp that leapeth forth from Bashan.
23.
And of Naphtali he said, O Naphtali, satisfied with favor, and full of the blessings of Yahweh, possess thou the sea and the south.
When Jacob blessed Dan, he said, Dan will judge. And you've seen many cases of judges throughout our history that came from the tribe of Dan. But it's not just that he's going to judge and that he's going to be like a lion's whelp. You need those people that's going to be impartial, that's going to stand up and say, I know you're my bro, I know you're my sis, but you're wrong. That's real friendship. That's real brotherhood. That's real sisterhood. So you got to have those individuals. Again, these are talking about individual tribes, but take on these characteristics as yourself. Deal with your interpersonal relationships and see if you're upholding real relationships. Are you telling your people, your brothers and your sisters, when they're breaking law? Are you receptive to when your brother and your sister is telling you, yeah, you're not supposed to be doing that? Tamshi. Oh, Naphtali. Naphtali again, he was blessed by Jacob to have goodly words. Chief of Chiefs, the Most High blessed his memory, embodied that. If you're going to take on these tribes, embody the message and the blessing. Look at these blessings, and even though it's mostly in the masculine form, this is for the whole nation. He's blessing all the people at this time and saying that this is what's going to happen to you. You're going to give good words. You're going to be a people that your storehouse is going to be filled. If you let the land rest, you're going to have enough filled for the next year and the year after that. If you keep the Shabbat day, you're going to look 20 at 31. I'm 31. If you observe these holy days, you're going to have feast days that nobody else can claim. You're going to have one day to fast instead of 30 days. And then you're going to have multiple times to feast and commune with your people and eat good, real good. Every year we think we're going to run out of food, and we have more than enough food, so much so that we can hide food and take it home. That was my emo laughing. The Most High God is going to bless us if we do exactly what He told us to do. It's really, really simple. Thou shalt not steal means don't take anything that does not belong to you. Thou shalt not lie one to another means don't lie to me and I don't lie to you. Super simple. 24.
24. And of Asher he said, Blessed be Asher above sons. Let him be the favorite of his brethren, and let him dip his foot in oil. Iron and brass shall be thy bars, and as thy days, so shall thy strength be.
Dip your foot in oil. What does that mean? I like to smell good. Most High God is telling you, like, He told us how He wants us to look, how He wants us to dress, how to act, how to eat, how to smell, how to live. He's telling you how to live this life so that when you go out in the world, people are really going to say you are blessed above all people. You look at your friends that's your same age, both young and old, and they look different. Because just like if you didn't get told to stop every seventh day, you will work yourself to death. The Most High gave you some reprieve. He says, stop and just think about me for a little bit. Forget about your worries. Log out of Instagram. Log off of Facebook unless you're watching online, and don't log out. But if you focus on the Creator, He's going to bless you. He's going to give you everything back that you need. Good health. Love amongst one another. Strong and lasting relationships. Only if we do the law and we take it to heart. Do we believe the Most High God? Do y'all believe? That sounds skeptical. I don't know. I ask these questions because it's a simple question. But what does belief mean? What does it mean to believe in the Most High? Y'all giving me synonyms now, okay. Trust. Go ahead, I'm going to let that one rock. Anybody. What does it mean to believe in the Most High? What's your name? Go ahead, Ezra. To do his law, statutes, and commandments. All right. Anybody else? Should I call on somebody? Confidence in Yah. Trust. To do his statutes and commandments. Wholeheartedly. The Most High God said that if you do this law, I will lengthen your days. Do you believe that?
Okay.
He said, if you do this law, you shall be blessed among all peoples, and people will call you a nation of priests and say that you are wise and understanding people. Do you believe that? He also said, if you don't do this law, I'm going to make you a byword and a proverb. Do you believe that? That was a strong yes. See, so we believe strongly the negative, but it's so hard for us to believe the positive. And that's because we can't see it. We can't visualize it. You don't see it when you walk outside the door. You hear it when you come to these places, but when you look in life, you don't really see it. So you can't believe it. That's why I asked that question. Do you really believe? Or do you believe the words that people are telling you? The only way that you can believe this without seeing it is believing it and applying it into your life. And then you will see it happen outwardly. You will see him blessing you beyond anything that you could have asked for, and in ways that you never could have asked for. The harm that was coming around the street that you can't see, like Israel said last week, he was going to go to the Bronx and decided to come to Brooklyn and study with me. And then he heard, oh, there was a shootout. That's a blessing. Do some introspection and really think, do you actually believe this? Because if not, these are just words on a paper.
26. There is none like unto God, O Yeshua.
Do you believe that? Ah, yes, I like you, Nima. That was positive. There is none like God among Yeshua. Hallelujah.
Who rideth upon the heaven as thy help, and in his excellency upon the skies. The eternal God is a dwelling place, and underneath are the everlasting arms. And he thrust out the enemy before thee, and he says, destroy. And Yisrael dwelleth in safety. The fountain of Yaakov alone, in a land of corn and wine. Yea, his heavens drop down dew. Happy art thou, O Yisrael, who is like unto thee? A people saved by Jehovah, the shield of thy help, and the sword of thy excellency, and thine enemies shall dwindle away before thee, and thou shalt tread upon their high places.
Moses is saying this to encourage us again, because now we're about to go across that Jordan. And we're going to see things that we've never seen before, but we've seen it, but not really. That young generation doesn't really remember. That's what all of Deuteronomy is Moses telling them, remember. Remember what you may have saw and what you may have heard, and the things that you didn't hear and see. Remember the stories that the older generation told you. You're about to go over and see some incredible things. This generation didn't see the Sea of Reeds split open. Most of them. But they're about to go and see Jericho walls fall down without anybody touching it. He's encouraging them and encouraging us to believe that when it comes time for us to go back home, we're going to see things that we've never seen before. We read last week in Joel, and it says that the darkness is going to become light, and the light is going to become darkness, and the hills are going to be made flat. Your mind can't really understand that, because this is the Most High God at work. But you have to believe it. You got to believe that you're excellent. You have to believe that you're powerful and blessed of the Most High God. Each and every one of you have the blood of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob running through you. That's a blessing. I was watching something last night, House of Yisrael in Atlanta. Now, this was a 9-hour service, so I gotta go back and watch it again because I'm almost sure they had to have chopped up that video, because there's no way somebody's listening to somebody teach for 5 hours. But the last 4, they praised for like 3 hours straight. They had young and old get up. They was rapping, sounding like Atlanta rappers, like Future knew, and it was good. The children got up praising the name of the Most High God. They didn't say God, they said Elohim. That's the kind of jubilance that the Most High God is looking for. The reason why I say that, the reason why we were kicked out of the land, the Most High God said, because you did not serve me with gladness and joyous of heart. When these drums are playing, I've been playing drums since I was 15. I've been a lot of places playing drums. You can see when the people feel this with joy and gladness of heart or not. I'm going to drum my face off. So God is going to get the glory. But when we look out and we see y'all just twiddling your thumb, looking off into... And I've been with y'all at concerts, so I know you know how to sing and how to shout. The Most High God is looking for that. And if we can see it, believe you me, he sees it, because this is just one day out the week that I see you. So I can imagine what you do or don't give the other 6 days. This is not an indictment. This is me trying to open your eyes to what the people can see. Because if not, you're faking yourself. And you're leaving yourself out of the blessing. The eternal God is a dwelling place, and underneath are everlasting arms. Israel dwelleth in safety, and the fountain of Yaakov alone. You have to activate the law, like one of our teachers used to say. And once you activate that, you are able to dwell in security, in safety and peace. That harm that happens right outside, we live in Brooklyn, shootouts happen every day. Last week, a bunch of people got shot on the Shabbat. If they were keeping the Shabbat, they may be alive. Think about how many things you missed, because the Most High God is covering you by keeping his law.
Chapter 34, verse 1. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And Moshe went up from the plains of Moab unto Mount Nebo to the top of Pisgah, that is over against Jericho.
Stop a second. That was it. We're never going to hear from Moses ever again. We saw him being born, go through the Nile River, grow up in the house of Pharaoh as a prince, go out and see his people striving one with another and try to teach them, like how we try to teach our people out there, and they did exactly what our people do. Who are you to tell me what to do? Didn't you just... He ran away, came back to save his people, struggled with them, sent them as spies to go spy out the land. They came back and turned the hearts of the people. He fought with his cousins. He prayed to the Most High God to bless the people and say, I haven't done anything to these people. And yet, they murmur against me. They hate me and my brother. He pained for his people. He prayed for them. And now he blessed them. And now all the work that he did, he knows that eventually he's going to be quote unquote in vain. Because the Most High God told him, they're going to still turn away. But your name will be blessed. And now he's going to die. But the Most High allowed him one last thing. To see the land. Which I know was on his heart. It's like it's on our hearts. And I implore you, if you can, afford it, save $1 a day for now, until forever, and go and see your land. Don't worry about Hebrew. You got time. Learn, practice. But don't worry about it because you go to France without learning French. You go to Spain and don't know no Spanish. Go and see your land. Pick up the dirt. Go pray up the wall. Make this real and tangible. Then you're going to see people react. You're the people. Everybody else knows. They see these fringes. They see that you know the law. They back off. The Most High gave Moses the opportunity to just go and see the land. Gave him superhuman sight, things that we can't even see and understand. Verse 2.
And Yahweh showed him all the land, even Gilead as far as Dan, and all Naphtali, and the land of Ephraim and Manasseh, and all the land of Yehudah as far as the Hinder Sea, and the south and the plain, even the valley of Jericho, the city of palm trees as far as Zoar. And Yahweh said unto him, This is the land which I swore unto Abraham, unto Yitzchak, and unto Yaakov, saying, I will give it unto thy seed. I have caused thee to see it with thine eyes, but thou shalt not go over. So Moshe, the servant of Yahweh, died there in the land of Moab, according to the word of Yahweh. And he was buried in the valley in the land of Moab, over against Beit Peor. And no man knoweth of his sepulchre unto this day. And Moshe was 120 years old when he died. And his eyes was not dim, nor his natural force abated. And the children of Israel wept for Moshe in the plains of Moab 30 days. So the days of weeping in the morning for Moshe were ended.
That's why I said you got to kind of feel this. Because just like I tried to explain it, these people grew up with him. Just like how, not to put certain people in their stead, but I grew up, this is going to sound funny, ever since I knew Chief of Chiefs, he was old. But I grew up watching him and watching his progression and him grow as a leader and as a teacher. And he passed away, just as all men and women are going to. And it hurts, and you mourn. But there's still going to be a job that needs to be done. But these people are mourning, though, because you get recalled all the bad that you did to people. Don't let that time have to come without you mending your relationships with whoever those people may be. Let them go in joy and in gladness, and let your mourning actually be a celebration of their lives. So Moses died, and we mourned for him for 30 days. God gave us that time to mourn. And then he said, all right, enough. I got some more work to do, so strap up, get strong. And he called Joshua and encouraged him again, because Joshua definitely mourned for his teacher.
Verse 9. And Yehoshua, the son of Nun, was full of the spirit of wisdom, for Moshe had laid his hands upon him. And the children of Israel hearkened unto him, and did as Yahweh commanded Moshe. And there has not arisen a prophet since in Israel like unto Moshe, whom Yahweh knew face to face, in all the signs, and all the wonders which Yahweh sent him to do in the land of Egypt, to PART1, and to all his servants, and to all his land, and in all the mighty hand, and in all the great terror which Moshe wrought in the sight of all Yisrael. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. He charged Joshua. He put a blessing on him. He encouraged him. Just like we should, like I said, encourage our children. Often. Little message to the adults. I think I had this conversation with my Abba a long time ago. I said, you know, you didn't grow up in this way. So you have no context of what it is to be a teenager practicing Torah in the United States. I have that. So let me help be a brother, a son, but try to understand this generation of children. The distractions that we had growing up, the distraction that the generation of before me had, it's multiplied times 10. So that means our effort now has to be multiplied times 10 to let them understand the importance of having God in their life. Let them understand the difference between us and the people out there, and why it's beneficial to praise the Most High God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. We have to speak power into them. We have to speak intelligence into them. Expect excellence, but also cultivate it. All honor and praise and glory to the Holy One of Israel. I thank him for allowing me to stand before you this day. This is the first time I've actually taught the portion. And like I said, I really don't like teaching. But I pray that the Most High God puts in the midst of us love for one another, that we actually believe the words that we read and that we hear, and that we pass on to the next generation a plan to do better and a plan to be better. Shabbat Shalom Nicole.
Blessed be Yehovah, our King. Thank you, the Most High God, for the life of Dawid ben Abi and the wisdom that the Most High God has granted him. I remember when Dawid was going through some struggles, and then he decided to go to school. And he got himself together real good. And I'm happy and I'm proud of people like that, because it's a testament to parents, parents being there and helping you get along and doing the things that you're supposed to do. And he's also the bridge between people my age and the younger generation. They need to see people like him succeeding, being happy with doing this, walking in this path, because it's all a cycle. And when we follow the cycle, we continue to grow. Those people are important. They need to see him successful. They need to see brothers like Israel and Shemuel and these young men that are the bridges to be successful in this, so that they follow along. Because most kids don't follow their parents. I mean, later in life they say, yeah, my Ima, my Abba, such and such and such and such, but they look at their peers and the people that are a little bit above them, and those are the people that usually influence them. That's how you get certain type of situations where you get a child that comes from a good family and he ends up in a gang. Mother and father weren't involved in gangs. They weren't involved in that type of situation. Is the big homie on the block that's 5, 6 years older than them, that's influencing them, and they think that guy is cool, not knowing that the cool people is at home. The people that go to work every day, make sure you got something to eat, that you got something to wear, that you got a roof over your head. But you get caught up with these illusions of grandeur, and you feel like you live in life, but in reality, to live life is to keep Torah and to walk in this way of life. That's living life. People that have been through certain things in life could tell you, and they could attest to you, that this is the best thing that you could do, to have morals and a standard of living. So people don't have that. Everything goes. Morals and the standards of living is gone away from this earth. People don't follow that. Everything goes. So we have to be thankful to the Creator for this. And in this day and age, when we got so much confusion on the earth, we got so many things going on. They making you believe that it's okay to accept certain lifestyles, to walk and follow certain things, and to be accepting of certain types of situations, and it's not. Homosexuality is homosexuality. It's wrong, no matter how you put it. because out of it you can't get nothing productive out of it. You know, a woman with a woman is not going to produce. A man with a man is not going to produce. That's in the most basic sense of it, right? When the Most High God created us, he said, so a man shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And it said the man knew his wife, and she conceived, and she bore a son. And she called his name what? Cain. So this is the natural cycle of life. These are the natural things that we see, but a lot of times living in society and living in out here in this world, they make you seem like you're barbaric if you don't accept these lifestyles. Like you're antiquated, like you're not moving along with the times. And brothers and sisters, I'm here to tell y'all, we're not supposed to move along with those times. That's not what we're supposed to accept. When we go to school, your crowd is not supposed to be, oh, my girlfriend and the homosexual boy that switches up and down the hallway with you. That's not supposed to be your company. All your dudes and the young lady that thinks that she's a man that's sagging, and you can see her Tommy Hilfiger man boxers on. That's not so. You see, I'm gonna give it to you the way it's happening right in your time. We're not supposed to accept that. The Most High said that should be an abomination to us, a detestation before our eyes. So we're not supposed to be accepting of that, because the minute that you accept it, you give credence to it, and that means that the laws of God are no good. That means the laws of God, you don't acknowledge that because you made an adjustment in what God told us. The Most High God was very specific and clear in the things that he told us. We got so many things that affect us today. We got the effect of not only what goes on in society, but the way that we've been brainwashed for years in society with service to false gods and to things that profit us nothing. You understand? So the Most High God, you know, he gives us a set plan. No, he gave us a set plan, which is the Torah. And by the Torah, we should govern our lives. Am I right or wrong? The Torah helps us to govern our lives, and it helps us to put things in perspective. If you're not measuring everything up to Torah, then you're doing your own thing. You have to measure everything up to Torah. Now, Torah is what we acknowledge as Torah is the first 5 books that we find in the Old Testament. That's where you find all the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God. You're not going to find that in the New Testament. The New Testament never says, "Thus saith the Lord." Never. You're not going to find it. You can look it up right now. It's never going to say, "Thus saith the Lord." It's not going to say it. So why is it that for years we've been brainwashed to think that someone was supposed to come, die, someone came, died, was resurrected, and through that person we should find salvation? That's been the understanding that we have for years as black people here in America, and this is what they brainwashed us with. So when you run into some of these apologists or evangelical Christians, a lot of time they want to prove to you that, because our response is always, you can't find Jesus in the Old Testament. So what's the favorite chapter they go to? Isaiah 53, right? They go to Isaiah 53. And we're not going to go through Isaiah 53 right now, because Isaiah 53 is intricate. There's a lot of things in Isaiah 53 that we could prove with one verse that is not talking about Jesus. With one verse. We don't even got to go through the whole thing. I take you to one verse. It says, "He shall see his seed." Now, when we look at the Old Testament, did Jesus ever have any children? No. So when it's talking about he shall see his seed, it's talking about that comes forth out of him. Right? If Jesus never had children, then it cannot be talking about him. And this is the thing about prophecy. A lot of Christians they take you to the Old Testament and tell you, you see, that's talking about Jesus. But one thing about prophecy is this. If a prophecy is not fully fulfilled, that means that that could not have been Jesus. Because Jesus came already. This is the main factor that you have to understand in your argument with Christians. This is why they produce the second coming theory. Do you know that? The second coming theory is produced because when he came the first time, all of the prophecies and the things that were supposed to be accomplished in the prophecy that they said was him, did not happen. So this is important. This is important in the argument. You see, they try to bring it back so that that book could be valid. But in reality, there's a lot of things that transpire. So let's go to some of the things that they point out. Man, them guys grab my paper back there. Mosey, can you go back there and get my paper from the chief courthouse? Tell them to send the paper. Go to the first portion, my brother.
2 Samuel, the 7th chapter.
2 Samuel, the 7th chapter.
Starting at the 12th verse.
Starting at the 12th verse. So, this chapter, David learns that he should not build a house for God. Right? Because he got too much blood on his hands. So at this point, the Most High God makes some promises to David through the prophet Nathan. And let us read it.
In the book of 2 Samuel chapter 7 verse 12. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
When thy days are fulfilled and thou shalt sleep with thy father,
Meaning when you die,
I will set up thy seed after thee,
uh-huh,
that shall proceed out of thy body,
Uh-huh.
and I will establish his kingdom.
uh-huh.
He shall build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever.
So now, the important thing that you have to understand is when you're looking at things through Christian eyes, right? Through Christian glasses, automatically when you read that, who do you see? You see Jesus. But us being Israel, and we read this for the first time, who do we see? Solomon. Right? He told them, read that again.
When thy days are fulfilled, and thou shalt sleep with thy fathers,
Right.
I will set up thy seed after thee, that shall proceed out of thy body, and I will establish his kingdom.
And I'll establish his kingdom. Your seed that will proceed out of your body, and he shall establish the kingdom. Because David had a plan to build a house of God. God told him later in the book of Chronicles, I believe, he said, listen, you got too much blood on your hand. You're a man of war. So I'm going to let your son build that. And David was satisfied with that. So now, read on.
Verse 14. I will be to him for a father, and he shall be to me for a son.
And he shall be to me for a son.
If he commit iniquity, I will chasten him with the rod of men, and with the stripes of the truth.
So now remember, if he commit iniquity, now one of the main points that we have to understand about Jesus is that most Christians tell you is that he was without sin. So how would this prophecy fit him if he was without sin? God would have already known that he was sending a prophet that was coming, or his son that was coming, that was without sin. You understand? But right here, what the Most High God is telling David is, if your son do that which is right, and don't depart from my way and commit no sin, then I will establish his kingdom. Now we know that Solomon, along the way, he started building houses of worship to all these foreign women that he had. He married over 700 women and had 300 concubines. But at the end, before he died, he came back to God and acknowledged that God was king. But the Most High God split the kingdom during Solomon's time and made it two kingdoms. So he still kept his promise to Melech David, but because of Solomon's sin, he caused the kingdom to be split into a southern kingdom and a northern kingdom. So right here, if we put our Israelite glasses on, we don't see Jesus in this. We see Solomon. Let us now go to First
Chronicles chapter 17. First Chronicles chapter 17 verse 11.
Read on, my brother.
And it shall come to pass when thy days are fulfilled, that thou must go to be with thy fathers, that I will set up thy seed after thee, who shall be of thy sons, and I will establish his kingdom.
This is very important for us to understand, because once again the Most High God is reiterating, it's the same passage, that he will establish the seed of Melech David. Let's go.
He shall build me a house, and I will establish his throne forever.
He shall build me a house, and I will establish his throne forever. That house was the temple of the Lord that we just read about the other day. That was, I believe, in 1 Kings chapter 8. I believe we were reading that when Solomon dedicated the temple to the Creator, and he said that prayer, and that prayer that we say at the end of every Shabbat, when we get a chance to say it, when Solomon blesses God's people. Let us go.
I will be to him for a father, and he shall be to me for a son. And I will not take my mercy away from him, as I took it from him that was before.
So if you look at this with the Christian glasses, it says, he shall build me a house, and I will establish his throne forever. And I will be to him, this is what Christians do, the apologists. I will be to him for a father, and he shall be to me for a son. So when you're looking at it with your Christian glasses, you say, oh, that's God and his son is Jesus. But you got to read the whole passage. You got to read verses before and verses after.
Right.
Because it tells you here, he shall build me a house. Right? So if you say that's Jesus, what house did Jesus build? I know they said he was a carpenter, but what house did he build? Did he rebuild the temple? The temple was already built at that time. The temple didn't get destroyed until 70 AD. He was going into the temple. The temple was already built. So what house is he building? You get what I'm saying? So when they bring you to these points, these are the things that you have to point out, because they're looking at it through Christian glasses. Through Christian glasses, everything is Jesus. And everybody is Jesus. But yet, it's never specifically clearly spoken about in the Holy Scriptures, in the Old Testament. God never says, and Jesus should be his name. Never says that. Read on, my brother.
But I will settle him in my house and in my kingdom forever, and his throne shall be established forever.
And I will settle him in my house and my kingdom forever. That means the seed of Melech David.
Right.
That means the seed or the lineage of Melech David. Some of the arguments will be, well, Jesus is from the seed of David, but that's not what the New Testament says. The New Testament says that he was born of a Holy Ghost. So how can he be of the seed of King David if he was conceived of the Holy Ghost? Seed is that which proceeds out of a man, that causes reproduction, fertilizes the woman's eggs, and then a baby is conceived, or a child is conceived. So it doesn't match up. Let us go.
Chronicles 28.
I already spoke about that. 1 Chronicles 28 verse 3 to 10 speaks about David's hands being too bloody. And also, you know, you could go down to the kingdom of Melech David established by Yah.
The book of Isaiah chapter 11.
Now there's certain things that had to happen. Now, when we get to a point of Torah and understanding Torah of the Tanakh, there is going to be a seed of David that sits on the throne in the future. Right? But the Tanakh doesn't put emphasis on that. That's not the emphasis that the Tanakh puts on. The Tanakh puts emphasis on the redemption of Yisrael as a people, as a whole. Not so much emphasis on who this person is going to be or what this person is going to be. It's mentioned and it's spoken about, but that's not the emphasis. At the end of days, the emphasis is on the redemption of the nation of Yisrael. That's what it is. Nation, not a person. But it is mentioned. But in order for this thing to come to pass, or for you to put Jesus in that category as of these prophecies, then he has to fit the criteria, or he had to fit the criteria when he came on the earth. So let's see if he fits the criteria to some of these prophecies that many Christians claim that is speaking about this man, Jesus. Let's go.
Isaiah chapter 11 verse 1. And there shall come forth a shoot out of the stock of Yeshua, Jesse.
Jesse.
A twig shall grow forth out of his roots.
And
the spirit of Yahweh shall rest upon him.
So who was Jesse? Anybody? David's father, right? So, and there shall come forth a shoot out of the stock of Jesse, a twig shall grow forth out of his roots. So I don't want you to be confused. Because if it says out of the shoot of Jesse, it still means David.
Right.
Because that's his father. It's just giving Jesse an honorable mention. That's all, but we know what he's speaking about and whom he is speaking about. Let's go.
And the spirit of Yahweh shall rest upon him, the spirit of wisdom and understanding, the spirit of counsel and might, the spirit of knowledge and the fear of Yahweh.
So when you read this with your Christian glasses on, Jesus did all of these things. Right? It says, and the spirit of Yahweh shall rest upon him, and the spirit of wisdom and understanding. Right? He taught elders when he was 12 years old. It says, the spirit of counsel and might, he counseled people. The spirit of knowledge and of the fear of the Lord. He did all these things. But remember what I told you about prophecy and when people want to match up prophecy to Jesus. He has to fit the whole criteria, or the prophecy. The whole prophecy has to fit that period of time that he lived in. And if it doesn't fit, that means it wasn't him. Let us go.
And his delight shall be in the fear of Yahweh. And he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither decide after the hearing of his ears.
You hear that? Jesus said, judge not lest you be the judge. He is that is without sin. Let him cast the first stone. These are things that he said. I'm not making this up. They brought the adulterous woman before him. Right? I believe that was like 1 Peter's. I could be wrong. They brought the adulterous woman. They said, we caught her in the act of adultery. What shall be done to her? It said Jesus looked down, he wrote it on the ground, and he mumbled, and he said, he that is without sin, let him cast the first stone. Everybody disappeared. She stayed there by herself. And then he told her, go away and sin no more. That's not what Torah says. What Torah said, my brother?
What is that?
The Torah said, they said, we caught her in the act. It's not like we caught her coming out of the house and it's up for debate. And said, nah, we caught her in the act. So let us move on before I lose my train of thought. Let's
Verse
go.
4. But with righteousness shall he judge the poor, and decide with equity for the meek of the land.
Jesus did all these things. Let's go.
And he shall smite the land with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked.
He condemned the Pharisees, and he did all these things. Jesus did all these things. I'm saying it. Chief Uziel is saying Jesus did all these things. But let's see if he fits the whole criteria. Let's go.
And righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, and faithfulness the girdle of his reign.
Remember, he was without sin. That's what Christians say. Let's go.
And the wolf shall dwell with the lamb.
Hold on. Read that again.
And the wolf shall dwell with the lamb.
Hold on. Do a wolf dwell with a lamb right now? If a wolf is around a lamb, what's going to happen?
My zone.
Somebody going to be my zone, right? And it ain't going to be the wolf. Let's go.
And the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf, and the young lion, and the fatling together. And the little child shall lead them, and the cow and the bear shall feed. The young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox.
Like the ox. Is that happening today? When a lion sees or a lioness sees an impala, what they do? Still chase, right? Still try to eat it, right? Are they eating straw? No, they're not. So, although the beginning of the prophecy seemed like it was talking about the Jesus in the New Testament, we know that this time has not come yet, because there is not that time of utopian peace on the earth yet. That a lion won't eat a deer. That a leopard won't eat an ox. So, eliminate this one off your checkbook. Because this doesn't fit the time that Jesus came. In fact, the time when Jesus came, there was a lot of destruction happening in the earth. In fact, it was the Roman Empire that was at hand, and they was dominating and ruling everything in sight. It wasn't a time of peace. This is speaking about a total time of peace that's in the future. This is a time that we could dream of, that the Most High God is promising us as a people. See, we don't go into these chapters sometimes, but we need to show our people a time of peace that's coming. You see, after the day of the Lord, which is going to be a great day of destruction, it's going to be peace and a peaceful world. That's what God promised us. Not a life after death. He promises us peace after this commotion and this calamity. Let us go, my brother.
And the sucking child shall play on the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the basilisk.
My little daughter, right there, her age, she could go into the snake pit, and nothing is going to happen to her. She could be around some anacondas, and they're not going to want to eat her. This is the time that it's talking about. That has not happened yet, people. Let us go.
They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain. For the earth shall be full of the knowledge of Jehovah as the waters cover the sea. And it shall come to pass in that day that the root of Jesse that standeth for an ensign of the peoples, unto him shall the nations seek, and his resting place shall be glorious.
Is that seed of Jesse sitting on the throne? And are the nations of the world coming to him for advice and for wisdom? It has not happened yet, people. Jesus, his own people wanted to kill him. So obviously it can't be talking about him who came before. That's why they had to come with the second coming theory. Because these things were not fulfilled. Let us go to the next chapter, my brother.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 23, verse 5. Behold, the days come, saith Jehovah, that I will raise unto David a righteous shoot, and he shall reign as king and prosper, and shall execute justice and righteousness in the land. In his days Yehudah shall be saved, and Israel shall dwell safely. And this is his name whereby he shall be called. Jehovah is our righteousness.
He said, this is the name where he shall be called. I believe it's Jehovah Zidquenu, right? Zidquenu. Did it say Jesus? Did it say Yehoshua? Did it say Yeshua? That means what? Yah is salvation, right? This said his name should be Jehovah is our righteousness.
Right. So
find me Jesus in the passage. It says, behold, the days come, saith Jehovah, that I will raise unto David a righteous shoot, and he shall reign as king and prosper, and shall execute justice and righteousness in the land. That has not happened yet. In his days Judah shall be saved, and Israel shall dwell safely. Is Judah saved and Israel dwelling safely right now? No. And this is his name whereby he shall be called. Jehovah is our righteousness. That's not the name of Jesus. That's not what Jesus means. So eliminate this one from your checklist. Let's go.
Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. And is it a time of trouble unto Jacob?
This is the day of the Lord. Remember, there's going to be a day of destruction. Let's go.
But out of it shall he be saved.
Shall he be saved?
And it shall come to pass in that day, saith Jehovah of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bands, and strangers shall no more make him their bondman. But they shall serve Jehovah their God, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them.
So now, the other perspective and the other understanding we got to have is, we got to use a little bit of common sense.
Right.
When it says, and David, it says, but they shall serve Jehovah their God, and David their king. It doesn't mean literally that David is coming back from the dead.
Right.
I already read you all the precepts where it talks about a shoot of Jesse, a shoot of David. It's speaking about the generation that's coming after him that's going to sit on the throne. It's not speaking about David being resurrected, and literally you take that as a literal meaning. It's not saying that.
Right.
Let us go.
Therefore fear thou not, O Jacob, my servant, saith Jehovah. Neither be dismayed, O Israel. For lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity. And Jacob shall again be quiet and at ease, and none shall make him afraid.
You hear that? Is Jacob quiet and at ease? Do Jacob still get afraid? Yes. We fear for our lives all the time. So this time has not come yet.
Right.
Obviously, the first coming of Christ was not that time. Because he does not fit this criteria, or that prophecy does not fit this criteria. Let us go. Next
Jeremiah
chapter.
chapter 33,
Uh-huh.
verse 14. Behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that I will perform that good word which I have spoken concerning the house of Israel and concerning the house of Yehuda. In those days and at that time will I cause a shoot of righteousness to grow up unto David, and he shall execute justice and righteousness in the land.
Justice and righteousness in the land. That's not happening in the land of Israel right now. In the land of Israel right now, you got gay parades, you got Christian churches, you got Muslim mosques. It cannot be talking about the time, or this time, either this time or the time when Christ came,
Right.
when he allegedly came. It cannot be speaking about that. So this shoot of Jesse or of David could not have been the man that they told us was the one who came and died and saved the world from sin. It doesn't fit. Let us go.
In those days shall Yehuda be saved, and Jerusalem shall dwell safely. And this is the name whereby he shall be called. Yahweh is our righteousness.
Yahweh is our righteousness. Once again, let's go.
But thus saith Yahweh, there shall not be cut off unto David a man to sit upon the throne of the house of Israel.
You hear that? That was a promise that the Most High God made unto Melech Dawid. So it's reiterating it and letting the children of Israel know that yes, there's going to be an anointed king that sits on the throne. This is what they get caught up with. Mashiach is coming. Mashiach is coming. Mashiach is coming. This, that, and the other. All right, we understand, but guess what? There's more than one. Because all the priests and his sons, they're anointed. All Mashiach means is anointed. So yes, there's going to be many anointed ones that are going to come when we get back into the land. You're going to have the priest. You're going to have the high priest. The prophets are anointed. And the king is anointed. So what is this thing? That's why our scriptures doesn't make a big deal about the Mashiach, the anointed one. It tells us, yes, there's going to come a time where a seed of David is going to sit on the throne, but it's not something that's replete through our scriptures to where this is what we're looking for. What we're looking for is the return of Yisrael to the servitude of the true and living God, and put things back in this perspective. Because the Most High God loves obedience from us rather than sacrifice or anything else. Obedience. So that's what we look forward to, being obedient and doing what we're supposed to do. Let us go.
The book of Ezekiel chapter 34, verse 23.
Let us go.
And I will set up one shepherd over them, and he shall feed them, even my servant David. He shall feed them, and he shall be their shepherd. And I, Yahweh, will be their God, and my servant David prince among them. I, Yahweh, have spoken.
So God is really our God and our King.
Right.
And whoever sits on that throne is really the Prince of God. As is stated here, let us go.
And I will make with them a covenant of peace, and I will cause evil beasts to cease out of the land. And they shall dwell safely in the wilderness and sleep in the woods. And I will make them and the places round about my hill a blessing. And I will cause the shower to come down in its season. There shall be showers of blessing.
You hear that? Everything is going to be in this right perspective. He's going to drive away the evil beast from the midst of us. That is not happening in Israel yet. If you go in the wild and you run into a lion, he's going to eat you. If you go into the wild and you run into a tiger, he or she are going to eat you. This time of peace has not reached the earth yet, so it could not have been talking about Jesus. Let us go.
And the tree of the field shall yield its fruit, and the earth shall yield her produce. and they shall be safe in their land, and they shall know that I am Yahweh.
I am Yahweh.
And I have broken the bars of their yoke, and have delivered them out of the hand of those that made bondmen.
You hear that? You know what's breaking the bond of your yoke? That slave religion that they had us under. That's breaking the bond of our yoke, because not only are we were physically enslaved, but today we are mentally enslaved. With a religion that made us docile. With a religion that makes us love our enemies and turn the other cheek when God didn't command that. Let's go.
And they shall no more be a prey to the nations, neither shall the beasts of the earth devour them, but they shall dwell safely, and none shall make them afraid.
And none shall make them afraid. We haven't gotten to that point yet, people. Let's go.
And I will raise up unto them a plantation for renown, and they shall be no more consumed with hunger in the land, neither be it the shame of the nations any more.
It said, and I'll provide them a splendid vegetation, so that they shall no more be consumed with hunger in the land, and no longer suffer the insults of the nations. Some vegetarians will take that and run with it, but I'm going to leave it right there. Let's go.
And they shall know that I am Yahweh their God, and with them. And that they, the house of Israel, all my people, save Yahweh God.
And the house of Israel, all my people. Once again, it speaks about the people of Israel. It speaks about, yes, it speaks about this shoot of David that's going to sit on the throne, but that's not the main point. The point is about peace and love and happiness. That's going to encounter Judah and Israel at the end. That's the perspective, and that's what we have to look at. These chapters, if you look at them from your Christian eyes, yes, Jesus is going to be all over it. But can you really prove that that was Jesus? Let us go.
Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 24. And my servant David shall be king over them, and they shall all have one shepherd.
This is not literally David, because you have some people that teach that this is literally David coming back resurrected from the dead. And no one could bring something clean out of something unclean. A dead body, a carcass, is unclean. No one is coming out of the graves like a Michael Jackson video. It's not happening like that, people. Let us go.
They shall also walk in mine ordinances and observe my statutes and do them. And they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob my servant, wherein your fathers dwelt. And they shall dwell therein, they and their children, and their children's children forever.
Are we doing that? Are we all back in the land in our righteous perspective? No. So this could not be talking, the shoot of David could not be talking about Jesus. Because these things have not happened, or they did not happen while he was here on this earth. Let us go.
And David my servant shall be their prince forever. Moreover, I will make a covenant of peace with them. It shall be an everlasting covenant with them. And I will establish them and multiply them, and will set my sanctuary in the midst of them forever. My dwelling place also shall be over them. And I will be their God, and they shall be my people.
And they shall be my people. This is the covenant that God made with us. That he will be our God and we will be his people. This is really the theme of the Tanakh, you know. When we look at it and put it in perspective, the theme of the Tanakh is that he is our God and Israel is his people. And he looks for obedience from us and for us to worship him. The reason why the world is out of whack is because the children of Israel. Because we didn't do our job as the firstborn of the Most High God. That's why the world is out of whack. If we'd have done our job and we'd have kept things in perspective, we will be living in this same world that is speaking about right here. It's not far-fetched. You got to know that this is going to happen. Because God said it. And his word don't come back void without accomplishing what he said out of his mouth. So this is going to happen. You might say, that might be a little bit allegorical. No, that's not allegory. It's telling you about a time that you can't believe because your human eyes have never seen it. You could never see it, but we've seen little instances of that when they raise up animals together. A cat and a dog are mortal enemies, but a cat and a dog could live in a house. Can't they? Some of you ever seen the cat and the dog in the house and the dog don't kill the cat? Yeah. So it can happen. So we know that the word of God is not far-fetched. Am I right or wrong? It's true and exact. You have the baddest pit bull that will kill another pit bull. But if he's raised up in a home with a cat, that cat will paw him up and down and do all types of stuff. That pit bull won't kill him. So we know that the word of God is true. Let us go.
And the nation shall know that I am Yahweh that sanctify Israel, when my sanctuary shall be in the midst of them forever.
And my sanctuary shall be in the midst of them forever. That temple is not rebuilt. Go down to a time of peace.
The book of Micah, chapter 4, verse 1.
These are other things that have to happen when this person comes under earth, right? These are the other things that have to happen. It's a time of peace. It's a time of happiness. It's a time of delight. This is not happening yet. The world is in chaos. Let us go.
But in the end of days it shall come to pass that the mountain of Yahweh's house shall be established as the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills. And people shall flow unto it.
So the mountain of the house of God is at the top of the mountains, and all the hills, all the people that are on the hills shall flow unto it. We are going to be the standard bearers. We are going to be the ones that are going to teach the nations how to serve God. And that's what we're doing today. As a people, as a group of people, we're the ones that are growing more and more and more and more. Why? Because this truth has to go out there. This is why I always tell people online, don't depend on us to you in a remote area and you know you got people there that need this knowledge. Don't just send them to us. You teach them. That is your job and your duty. We brought it to you. Now you become a fisher and a hunter. Let us go.
And many nations shall go and say, Come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, and to the house of the God of Jacob. And he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths.
Are the nations doing that today? No. Today you got Turkey going into Syria, dropping bombs. You got all types of wars in the east, in Afghanistan that's been going on for years. That peaceful time is not here. Let us go.
For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. And he shall judge between many peoples, and shall decide concerning mighty nations afar off. And he shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore.
The nuclear arsenal between just the United States and Russia will wipe out this whole earth. And then you got a madman in North Korea that's building up an ammunition over there. And all the nations that have nuclear accessibility, nobody's beating nothing into plowshares. They can, in fact, even when they try to destroy those nuclear weapons, they don't know what to do with the what do you call that? The rods that you need to create the nuclear weapons, because the earth, you can't bury it in the earth because it won't go away. It's like plastic. But they keep building these weapons. The only one that's going to be able to renew this earth and get rid of that is the Creator. Because man has sought out many inventions, and those inventions are going to destroy us. But the Most High God is the one who renews the earth. You know that? He's the one that renews us, our bodies, regenerates ourselves to where we could come back and we could give glory to his high and holy name. That's the God that we serve. Let us go.
But they shall sit every man under his vine and under his fig tree, and none shall make them afraid, for the mouth of Yahweh of hosts hath spoken.
Are we sitting under our vine and under a fig tree in our nation? No. So these are times to come. These are times that we got to look forward to. Go to the next one, my brother.
The book of Hosea, chapter 2, verse 20. And in that day will I make a covenant for them, with the beasts of the field and with the fowls of heaven, and with the creeping things of the ground, and I will break the bow and the sword and the battle out of the land, and I will make them to lie down safely.
Yeah, we don't got to worry about roaches and mice being all in our houses anymore. We don't got to worry about any of that. You don't got to worry about wild animals attacking you. That time is not here yet, but it's a time that we have to look forward to. Go to the next one.
Isaiah chapter 60, verse 18. Violence shall no more be heard in thy land, desolation nor destruction within thy borders. But thou shalt call thy wall salvation, and thy gates praise.
They got war between the Israelis and the Palestinians. That's an ongoing war. Violence is still prevalent on the earth. Just last week, you got 4 men that got murdered in a social club in Brooklyn. Gambling spot as we know them. Violence is still here. So this time it's not come. Go to the next one.
The book of Zechariah chapter
We read this last week. Let's go.
verse 11.
Uh-huh.
And men shall dwell therein, and there shall be no more extermination, but Jerusalem shall dwell safely.
Jerusalem does not dwell safely today. Every opportunity someone gets, they try to blow something up in it. They got the most secure borders in any place in the world. So it can't be talking about the people that's in there now. Let us go. Next one.
Jeremiah chapter 33, verse 9.
Mm-hmm.
And this city shall be to me for a name of joy, for a praise and for a glory, before all the nations of the earth, which shall hear all the good that I do unto them, and shall fear and tremble for all the good and for all the peace that I procure unto it.
You hear that? And that's not happened yet. So brothers and sisters, I say this, as humble as I can be. Take off your Christian glasses. Take off your Jesus glasses and look at things for what they are. Not for what someone told you, but what you think it is. Because before there was a New Testament, there was what we know as an Old Testament that we call the Holy Scriptures. So before you go to any part of a book, you see, you can't start reading a book from the back part of the book and then think that you're going to understand what's happening in the front. That's backwards. It never works that way. You have to read from the front so that you can, even if you need to get to the back of the book, you understand the front. Now we also have to understand that the word Bible means two, right? Bi means two, right? So there are 2 books within this one book that they call the Bible. You got the Old Testament, you got the New Testament. The Old Testament, or what we know as the Holy Scriptures, would consist of the Torah. It consists of the prophets, and it consists of the writings, right? These things were already established before any script of the New Testament was ever written. And the Torah was translated into Greek before the Greek scriptures ever came. So these are things that we have to understand. These are things that we can't allow people to lead us in the wrong direction. Because sometimes we get led in the wrong direction, and this bears us off. That's why you have to study your Torah. You have to study your precepts. You can't let lessons like this go in one ear and go out the other. I know it's hot in here, but you can't let these lessons go in one ear and go out the other. Because this is going to be the thing that holds you as a rock when you are able to explain these precepts. Because Christians study too. And some of them study a lot. And some of them can run circles around you. So if you're not learned, guess what? You're going to come back saying Isaiah 53 is talking about Jesus. And there was a man called Jesus that walked on this earth. And maybe he's not God, but maybe he is, he is this or he is that. The Most High God said that he stands alone. And that his glory he will not give unto another. Neither his praise to any graven image. That man is a graven image. That man was put before us to make us docile. For years, many of us for years, have gone on without worshiping him, and no lightning from heaven ever came down and struck us. People have been doing this way of life for 70, 50, 40, 30 years, and guess what? nothing has happened to us. Because we only give credit to the true and living God. How you go through a son to give credit to the Father? When the Most High God is the creator. He said he created all these things by himself. No one was sitting on his right hand side and no one was sitting on his left hand side. He said, I do all these things by myself. He said he stretched forth the heavens alone. And at the end, he said that, and I had it right here. Let me make sure I got it. I want to end out with one thing. Isaiah 45:23. This is the end of the whole matter right here. And then we're going to end. Isaiah chapter 45 verse 23.
I swear by myself.
He swear by who?
I swear by myself.
This is Jehovah talking. Because he can't swear by anyone else. I swear by my mother. I put it on my children. No, God said I swear by myself. Let's go.
I swear by myself. Righteousness has gone forth from my mouth.
From my mouth.
A word that will not be rescinded.
A word that will not come back void. When God says it, it accomplishes what it's supposed to do. So when God says, send that wind out so that it could form a tsunami and take all those people out, that word don't come back without acknowledging what God has said. Let us go.
That unto me every knee shall bow, and every tongue shall swear.
And to me shall every knee kneel and every tongue swear. What they going to swear? Every tongue means everybody on the earth is going to swear that Yah is king. And everybody, every knee is going to bow, is going to and pay obeisance to the creator of heaven and earth. Yehoshua, hallelujah. I hope you got something out of the lesson, and I pray to the Most High God that he continue to bless us all and continue to keep us in light. Every now and then I like to do lessons like that because it keeps us sharp. We have to stay sharp when it comes to this understanding of Torah, and we have to understand that with wanting to teach people, you have to keep your sharp sword. Your sword sharp, I mean. So you have to keep your sword sharp so that when you go out there, you're not making yourself look like a fool. Because in order to defend this truth, you have to study. You have to take notes. You have to understand the counterpoints and the things that people are going to bring to you. There's many other precepts that people go to that they try to trap you with. But the one thing you have to understand is you got to tell people, take off your Jesus glasses, put on your Torah glasses, and now let's read this from the beginning all the way till the end. And usually when you do that, you gain the full understanding of what is it that is being said. Not some obscure statement, not something that you could take, because truth or a lie is always built on some truth. So now the New Testament, everything in the New Testament is not a lie. Because the New Testament has Shema Yisrael, Yehovah Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. That's in the New Testament. You could read that straight out of the New Testament, right? But it's contradiction. Because the New Testament also said, because Shema Yisrael, Yehovah Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad means, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. But the New Testament also said that me and the Father are one and the same. So how can the Lord be one, Yahweh be one, when you're saying me and the Father are one and the same? You get what I'm saying? So these are contradictions. But there is some truth in a lie. Because in order to build a lie, you need to put some truth in it. When the devil tried to entice Jesus on the mount, he started quoting Torah. He just started quoting Torah. Why? Because the law was what was prevalent at that time. So you got to use some truth in order to make your lie stand out. So the people who came and fought, when Paul and all these guys came, they started creating the Christian religion. And this is what people began to follow. But the law of God was already there. Why do you think in the story it says that the Jews, right, the quote-unquote the Jews, gave him a hard time? They gave him a hard time because they understood Torah. How you going to tell the men that we found the woman in the act of adultery, but he that is without sin cast the first stone? That's not what Torah says. So these are the things that we have to understand, and we got to get sharp. We have to get sharp so that we're able to bring it forth to people and that people will understand. It might sound harsh, and this is me going easy on Christianity. Believe you me, this is me going easy. I think this is the best job I've done in going on Christianity. This is an easy way of me doing it. But I'm trying to bring it so I don't offend people. Although I know some might get offended, I try to do it not to offend people, and so that you gain understanding, rather than just block me out and not listen to what is it that I have to say. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Let us all rise and face the east. This time I say the words of the blessing that the Most High God gave unto Moshe to give unto Aaron and his sons, the blessed children of Israel. Hoping and praying that on the conclusion of this portion of the day that the Most High God look down upon each and every one of us and grant us a blessing. Wadaber Yahuwah Moshe Lemor. Daber El Aharon ve El Benal Lemor. Kotavar Kue Bene Yisrael Amor Lahem. And Yahuwah spoke unto Moshe, saying, speak unto Aharon unto his son, saying, on this wise he shall bless the children of Israel. He shall say unto them, Jivareka Yahuwah Yishmareka. Yair Yahuwah Panaoleka Wikuneka. Yisa Yahuwah Panaoleka Yasem Leka Shalom. May Yahuwah bless thee and keep thee. May Yahuwah make his face to shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon thee, and may he grant thee peace. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.